CIA 3 News, your news leader.
All right, welcome back to the morning show. We got cut off the last time. We were trying to explain why this pink tube, which seems so simple, makes that wonderful whistling noise.
And as I said, it has to do with, you know, we need vibration in order to hear sound and everything. And that's what these corrugations come in. A smooth tube, or the inside part of the tube is the important thing, not the outside. But a smooth tube wouldn't make that noise. But because it's corrugated, what ends up happening is the air, as you spin the tube, centripetal force causes the air to flow out, just as, you know, if you swung a bucket, it wants to go out that way. So the air flows through the tube by spinning it, and it hits these corrugations and spins. Okay, inside there, and that causes vibrations, and then you hear it. And the same thing when Robert was talking about blowing in a bottle. What you're doing when you're blowing across the bottle is you're causing a vortex to go inside the bottle, which causes the vibration and resonates the bottle.
So I noticed when you were spinning this that the faster you were going, the higher, right?
Exactly, because as I said, with the string, if you have the string, you go up an octave.
Right.
In this case, if you double the speed,
you go up.
Okay, you're going to go up, and you could actually get an octave. And you can hear those partials coming in there. It was actually the root, the fifth, and then the octave. And if I was able to spin it fast enough, I could even get more of those partials to go in there. But this tube isn't very long, and it's hard to do. Right. Which is why a French horn can play. It has so many different partials because there's 14 feet of tube in a French horn.
Really?
Okay? Yeah, all this wrapped around here.
Okay, 14 feet, man.
As an alto saxophone's, you know, maybe 2.5 feet long.
Right.
You know, a tenor's maybe 3.5 feet long. And as you get bigger, you know, they start wrapping around. Tuba's got a lot of things. French horn is interesting because it's got 14 feet that's wrapped up in just a small tubing. But because of that, these partials that I was talking about become closer and closer together, so it's easier to start hitting. Actually, sometimes in ways it's harder to stay on the same note you want to.
Because it's breath control, right? It would all have to go with how fast you're blowing air through the horn. Now,
in a horn like this, you're not spinning it, so how are you going to get the sound? Because if you just blow into the tube, you're not going to get anything. Well, all brass instruments, for the most part, have a mouthpiece that you buzz into, and it's your lips that give it that spin, that vibration that travels through the whole horn until, of course, it resonates out into the end. And then you have reed instruments like saxophones, clarinets, oboes, bassoons.
Right.
Okay, and they use a reed to cause the vibration to get the sound going. And we can make a simple one here with just a straw. You take a straw and then you cut it into a V shape on the end. Okay. And then that makes like a double reed. And if you do this just right, I did one earlier. That's it. Right, here we go. You can get that to vibrate like that, just blowing into the tube. Won't do anything, but if you can get that to vibrate, then you get the basic noise. And then the rest of the instrument,
vibrating against each other, or is it against your lip?
They're flapping like this, and so the airflow is coming in and out, and that causes that's the vibration. That causes that pressure pulse. And this is like how an oboe and a bassoon works. And a saxophone and clarinet, there's one reed that's just vibrating against a stationary object, but you get the same feel out of it. Now, if you were to take this little high-pitched sound of this double reed and stick it into a big resonating horn like this, you would be able to play more notes than just the one I was able to play. And if you take this, if I can get this to sound out here, can't get this one. I'll try another one real quick. It's not an exact science. There we go. I'll try this again.
There we go. We had a faulty straw.
That's right, faulty straw. Now, if I cut this in half, it goes up and cut it more.
Got it. And that's the kind of the same principle of shortening the string almost, because you're shortening
the string and the instrument. If you go the opposite direction, little tiny instruments have a higher sound. Bigger, longer instruments have a lower and lower and lower and lower sound.
Interesting.
And like on a saxophone family, if you know the soprano sax, the straight one that Kenny G plays poorly, you got that one. The tenor saxophone, the one with the little curve on there, is twice as long as the soprano. So it's like an octave lower.
And they can play an octave lower. That's why they can do that.
That's right. And then an alto saxophone and a bari saxophone, and a bari is twice as long as an alto, so it plays at a lower rate. So that's the way the instruments work in that regard. There's other things with keys on it to stop the flow, so you can get all those partials in between.
Right.
But for the most part, your root or your pedal tone, as they like to call it, is different for the different instruments based on how long they are and how big around and things like that.
Got it. And that's why with the band you have those full sounds of some of those brass instruments,
that's
and then the more shrill sounds of some of those
tessitura, as we like to call it. Yes.
Shrill. Not that would ever be the case. All right, Jesse Miller, thanks for joining us this morning, teaching us all about sound. You gonna play the banjo quick?
I am not gonna play the banjo.
Try it one last time. We'll be right back.